Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, and welcome to my monthly video on the best games coming to retail. I partly started this video series because I'm not somebody with a lot of patience, and I don't want to wait a year for my Kickstarter games to get fulfilled, okay? I want the games now. I want to be interested in a game, and I want to go out and get that game. I don't know how some people just forget about it for 18 months. I'm impressed that you could do that. I can't do that. These are games that you can go out and get pretty easily, you know, whether it be in a local game store or online, something like that. Now, you might have seen some games at Gen Con that aren't on this list, and that's because Gen Con oftentimes does preview releases of games, and then they'll come out to retail in the upcoming months. So you'll see some of those in September, October, that sort of thing. But for now, these are the best games coming to retail in August 2022. Big Potato Games is releasing United States Postal Service: The Great American Mail Race. This is a game about delivering mail. You play as a postman delivering mail around the United States of America. And I was talking to Big Potato and I was like, why did you decide to do this game? And they said in doing research, they found out that the USPS is one of the most loved brands in America, which shocked me, okay? I had no idea. I don't love the post office, but apparently a lot of people do, enough to have a game about it. This is a 2 to 4 player game, 45 minutes. Essentially, you have a bunch of transport cards and you're playing them to move around the map and deliver packages and mail. So if you ever thought, hey, I wanna be a postman, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. This game is coming into Target as well, so it's nice to know, it's nice to see good games going into big box stores and growing the hobby. That is the United States Postal Service, The Great American Mail Race. BoardGameTables.com, and you have to say the whole thing, okay? You got to get the .com in the name. It's required. They are releasing 2 games to retail this month. They are releasing Dandelions. Dandelions is a very small box game. I mean, we're talking really small. So if you're looking for a small box game you can kind of take anywhere with you, Dandelions looks like a good one. In this game, you play as a dandelion. You float through clear blue skies on a pleasant breeze in a dice-rolling area majority game with little direct competition edge. It is a 2 to 3 player game and takes 10 to 15 minutes to play. And the word that I've heard a lot online about this game is clever. This is a clever game. If you think you are a clever person, then check out Dandelions. The other game that BoardGameTables.com is releasing to retail is Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. And if you think that's a weird name, it's because it is. Okay, this is a weird, kooky game, but it looks very fun to me. This is I guess you would call it like a one versus many game, though I don't know that you're really like versus. But one player plays as the mayor of the town, essentially the GM of the game, and they build the town and control the ghosts. And then other players are trying to move around and deliver pizzas, which is a very silly theme, and I am here for it, okay? They have to... essentially, the mayor builds a town behind a privacy screen, and the other players don't know where the ghosts are and where the pizzas are, and they're deciding which directions to move and then marking down things on their player board to kind of, build up an image of the town and hopefully deliver some pizzas. Because if there's one thing that pizza delivery guys have to worry about, it is ghosts. Ghosts are always trying to steal pizza. That's a very well-known fact about ghosts. One of the reasons they can't move on to the other side, they need a last pizza, okay? You got that sweet taste of pizza. You need that sweet taste of pizza. So that is That is, and that's a, you have to say boardgametables.com, and you also have to say psychic pizza deliverers go to the ghost town. Full names required. Gale Force 9 is releasing Arrakis Dawn of the Fremen. There have been a lot of Dune games that have come out recently, but this is a new one, and this is one that focuses on the world of Dune before House Atreides came to the planet. So you are playing as the Fremen before the planet has been invaded by outsiders. They say it's a brutal, cutthroat game about tribal control of Arrakis more than 100 generations before the Atreides come. So this is like an area control game. If you like the world of Dune, this is a different take on it, being just about the Fremen tribes beforehand. So you can conquer Arrakis two ways: by controlling the winning number of sieges at the end of the action phase, or by unanimous decision of the council when all players agree that you cannot be prevented from winning. So if you've liked playing some other Dune games, check out Dune Arrakis Dawn of the Fremen. Gamewright is releasing Teeter Tower, and this is a silly dexterity game. This works for kids, it works for adults, that sort of stuff. If you want a family game, then check out Teeter Tower. In the game, it's almost like kind of like a reverse Jenga. You know what I mean? You are building up a tower, but you're doing it by rolling dice and then placing dice on these cards and then balancing cards on top of other ones with dice in between. And there are like placement restrictions based on the color of the dice or the number that you roll on the dice. So if you like a dexterity game that you can play with everybody, this is a fun one. Takes about 20 minutes to play, 1 to 4 players, and there's obviously going to be those big, fun, silly moments when the tower falls and everybody's like, oh no, let's set it up and try it again, Gray Fox Games is releasing to retail Arcana Rising. This is a game that caught my attention because it's one of those games to me that, has a bunch of strategy to it, but plays pretty quickly. You can play this in 30 minutes, and it's a 1 to 6 player game. So it's nice to have a couple of extra players, have some real strategy, but also play very quickly. The game that I would almost compare this to just on first look is, it's like a Splendor kind of thing. It doesn't have the, most unique theme. You are playing as sorcerers competing to cast powerful spells, and we've seen plenty of games like that. But I love the engine building aspect of this game. If you were looking, like a Splendor or a Sentry, where there is that kind of fun, easy to jump into engine building, I think Arcana Rising fits into that well. It's a drafting and engine building game that you can play pretty quickly. It's only 3 rounds, and the production value is awesome, looks really cool on the table. So if you don't mind a somewhat generic theme, this one's going to be about the mechanisms, and the mechanisms look really cool. Fox Mind is releasing Match Madness Duo to retail, and one of the things I want to say about this, so there was an original game, Match Madness, that came out several years ago, and in Match Madness you're flipping over a card and then sort of arranging your blocks to match the pattern on that card. Well, the original Match Madness is going into Target in the month of August. So it's a game that's been out for a while and it's been available for a while, but it's cool that it's going into Target. Well, Match Madness Duo is sort of the sequel to Match Madness. It is a 2-player only game, and it makes the game way more abstract. In the original Match Madness, you had colors and shapes and things like that you were trying to arrange in a pattern. Now, Match Madness Duo is just black and white with like squiggly lines, and so it's super abstract and super hard. If you want a real puzzle that's pretty accessible but is hard to wrap your head around, this is a good game for you. I played this a little bit at Gen Con, and I was like, man, Am I dumb? I feel dumb right now. But if you like a cool puzzly challenge, then check out Max Madness Duo. Hachette Games is releasing a couple of games to retail this month. The first of which I'll mention is Akropolis. And this game is awesome. I love Akropolis. So it really surprised me at Origins Game Fair when I saw it in June for the first time, because on first glance, it looks like a lot of other tile laying games that we've seen, but it's got some really interesting choices in it. We've been playing it a ton at my house. I got my copy like a week or two ago, and we've been playing it nonstop because it is a game with a lot of strategy that plays so quickly. I mean, we can, now that we know this game, we can play it in 20 minutes. You know, it's just boom, boom, turns move super quickly. It's really, really fun. All you're doing is you are getting tiles and putting tiles into your own city. But all these different tiles score points in different ways. You know, blue ones, you need the big area. Red ones need to be on the edges. Yellow ones need to be isolated. That sort of stuff. But you can also, the thing that makes this different than other tile laying games is you can not just only build out, you can also build up. And the higher you go, the more points those tiles are worth. You know, if it's on the third level, it's worth 3 points instead of 1. And so there's a really interesting three-dimensional aspect to the tile laying in it. I definitely recommend it. It's a leading contender right now for me for my top 10 games of the year. Hachette is also releasing Northgard. This is based on the video game. There's a Northgard video game, of which I'm not familiar because my hand-eye coordination has never been good enough for video games. As soon as we jumped from Super Nintendo to Nintendo 64 and the controller got more complicated, I was like, boy, I'm out. I can't do this. I lose all of the time. So, Northgard Uncharted Lands is a pretty big, epic game. They say it takes 90 minutes, but most of the people I've been talking to says it takes them more like 3 hours. It is a streamlined 4X board game based on Norse mythology. So, in the game, you are going to be conquering stuff. You're going to be exploring stuff. Each player controls a Viking clan looking to achieve victory by reaping glory in various ways or controlling the most prized territories of this new continent. One of the things that's cool is it is a variable board. There are tiles that come up, so it's always going to feel different. And on your turn, you're trying to build new buildings, improve your warriors' effectiveness, better your hand of cards, and upgrade your clan's specificities. There is a deck building aspect to the game, so if you like deck building games, then this is there is deck building to it. So it's sort of exploration, area control, deck building. Feels pretty epic, but isn't crazy complex. It plays 2 to 5 players. So if you like the Northgard video game, or you just like deck building exploration games, then check out Northgard. Hunt a Killer, which is very, very well known for their sort of murder mysteries in a box, released a new scenario this month called Dead Below Deck. This one is going directly into Target, so if you like the Hunt a Killer stuff, this one particularly, so Hunt a Killer has both subscription services where you can get a bunch of stuff sent to you and kind of unfold the mystery over multiple boxes, or they have standalone boxes where you can, get one box and that's a mystery for you to solve sort of from beginning to end. One of the things that they try to do with Hunt a Killer is really put you into the feeling of being like a citizen detective. They want you to feel like they're all real crime stuff, and they want you to feel very immersed. So in Dead Below Deck, this particular one is one of the standalone scenarios that you can play from beginning to end. And the theme of this one is one morning in the middle of a luxury cruise in the Caribbean, the charter, William Bonnies, wakes up hungover and makes a morning trip to the sauna. There he finds the body of Rachel Venson, the yacht's stewardess. And so you have to figure out who killed Rachel Venson. So, if you want an immersive crime-solving game, then this is a good one to check out. And it just came into Target, Dead Below Deck. Inside Up Games is releasing Block and Key. This is a really interesting game that messes with perspective. You are putting three-dimensional blocks onto a board, but you're only scoring for your two-dimensional perspective. So it's really interesting. You can put these three-dimensional blocks in kind of different patterns, but then you're just looking at it from the side and seeing what fits the cards that you have, and you're trying to match patterns. So it's just a really interesting dichotomy where three-dimensional blocks but two-dimensional perspective. It's another one of those games that I feel like I can play in 20 or 30 minutes, but it has some real interesting choices and strategy, and the components are really cool. They're big, chunky blocks, they feel really heavy and weighty in your hand and stuff like that. And it's got amazing table presence with the sort of three-dimensional, two-layered board. It just looks really cool on the table. IV Studio is releasing Mythic Mischief. So IV Studio, well known for Moonrakers, which is a great game, and this is a really interesting, it's an abstract strategy game with a theme, if that makes sense. It is mostly just sort of abstract strategy moving around, but it's got a fun theme put on top of that. You are high school students competing to avoid the Tome Keeper in the school library. So you are moving around and trying to essentially push other students into the path of the Tome Keeper. There definitely is some backstabbiness where you're trying to screw over other players and get them caught in the path of the Tome Keeper. It's definitely a puzzly game. You're putting different walls down and moving around and trying to figure out how to avoid the Tome Keeper. The miniatures are really, really cool. It's got really high production value. So if you like an abstract game, but this kind of elevates it above just a normal abstract puzzly game because it looks so cool on the table to me. Lucky Duck Games is releasing the sort of sequel to It's a Wonderful World, and that is It's a Wonderful Kingdom. This is a two-player only game, whereas It's a Wonderful World, I believe, played up to 5. This one plays 2 only, and it does a lot of the same things that the It's a Wonderful World did, in the sense that you are getting cube resources and using those to build an engine. But the difference here is the drafting system. In the first game, you were drafting a card and passing around the table. In this game, it's a I cut, you choose drafting system. So I have cards, and then I can put them on either side of the board, and maybe I'm trying to make it more valuable for you in one way, maybe I'm trying to hurt you in another way. And so I'm splitting some cards, putting them down, you get to pick, then you're doing the same thing, then I get to pick, then we go back and forth until we have our hand of cards. So it's definitely cutthroat. You are trying to screw the other person over in the drafting. But the engine building, the resource management is all super, super cool. It's a Wonderful World is one of my favorite games of all time, so I'm excited to get into this two-player only version of it. It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Northstar Games is releasing Paint the Roses. This is an Alice in Wonderland themed game. It's a cooperative game. You are working together to kind of figure out some hidden information stuff and stay away from the Queen of Hearts. The way it works is it's a logic deduction game where you are putting tiles out onto the board and then trying to get people to guess a card that you have in your hand. The cards are called, what are they called? They're called whim cards. And so, if someone can guess the pattern or the thing that I'm trying to get you to guess out of my hand, then we move forward and the Queen of Hearts can't get us. But if we guess wrong, then the Queen of Hearts moves double and catches us. And we don't want her to catch us because that's how we get our heads chopped off, you know? Queen of Hearts loves chopping off heads. No thank you. Like to stay ahead of you. So, you know, strategy, logic, teamwork to figure out the garden and stay ahead of the queen. If you like cooperative games, this is a good one. 2 to 5 players, plays in 50 to 70 minutes. Pandasaurus Games is releasing Skate Summer, brah. Oh, we go shred out there. So I was a big skateboard kid when I was growing up, as you can imagine. I skateboarded all over the place. We were real punks, you know. We threw eggs at people that didn't deserve it, and I still feel guilty about that as an adult, okay? So go skateboard, don't be a punk, you know. So in Skate Summer, you were trying to become the pro skater of Pelican Park and collect all the skater upgrades. This is sort of the board game version of the Tony Hawk video game. So you were trying to build cool combos and do awesome tricks. If you love Tony Hawk, or if you love skateboarding, then this is one to check out. And one of the coolest things about it is your player board is an actual skateboard. Do I still own multiple skateboards? Yes, I do. Am I in my 30s? Yes, I am. Ho-ho! Really clinging to that youth here. Okay. Does this hat say it? Yes, it does. Really clinging to my youth. So check out, if you like skateboard stuff, check out Skate Summer from Pandasaurus Games. Pegasus Spiele is releasing FYFE or FYFE. I don't really know how to say it. FYFE? FYFE. We're going with FYFE. I'm confident. It's FYFE. You should say FYFE. This is a sort of peaceful, beachy vibe game. And I say beachy vibe because you are literally building out your beach area. And I love games like this that there's a lot of games about being wizards and orcs and things like that, and I like when games come out that have a little bit more chill vibe because it feels different in the space of board games. So in FYFE, you are laying tiles down on your beach area to you're trying to sort of complete these little objectives. So it might be like, in this row you need all the same numbers, or in this row you need all the same colors, and so you're trying to place stuff down to get points in different ways and fulfill objectives. One of the interesting things about it is each of us will have our own grid, so the player interaction is fairly minimal. So if you like a game that's kind of chill and we're all doing our own thing and trying to build out the most effective pattern to score points, this is a good one where you're not screwing over anybody else or whatever. You're just building out your beach area. That kind of feels like the beach to me. Just hanging out, doing your own thing, building out your beach, enjoying relaxing. So that is FYFE. Confidently, I am saying FYFE. Pegasus Spiele is also releasing Remember to retail. This is a party game. It's a pretty interesting game, though. This is almost one that feels like an activity less than a game where you're worried about the points. So in the game, you have colors assigned. You're going to assign colors to words, and then you're going to tell a story about why you assigned that color to that word. And then later, everybody has to remember which story is associated with which color and word. And, you know, so it's all about sort of sharing stories from your life with the other players and connecting them to colors. And everybody has to, remember the stories. For instance, if I was going to say yellow, maybe I tell a story about this one time when I was hit the beach. My sister and I were hitting a volleyball around, and I made some dumb joke, and I teased her, and she pretended to come like running at me to hit me, and I kicked the volleyball super slowly, okay? I wasn't trying to like hit her. I just rolled the volleyball on the ground, and she happened to step right as it rolled under her foot and then just face planted into the sand. And I was laughing so much. There were some rocks on the beach, and I went and sat on the rocks because I was laughing so hard. And she picked up the volleyball and threw it at me, and I ducked, and it bounced off a rock and then bounced back and hit her in the face. So I wasn't even trying to mess with her, and twice this volleyball took her out. So that's the kind of story I might tell, and now you remember, yellow is the sand story where this volleyball took out my sister. So that's the whole point of Remember from Pegasus Spiele. Ravensburger is releasing to retail Star Wars Villainous, Power of the Dark Side. So this is a new Villainous game. If you haven't played Villainous before, it's a Disney property where you get to play as the bad guys. That's one of the fun things about all of the Villainous games is you get to play as the bad guys. And in Star Wars Villainous, the characters you can play are Darth Vader, Asajj Ventress, Kylo Ren, Moff Gideon, and General Grievous. One of the cool things about just all of the Villainous games is they're fairly asymmetrical. All the characters are going to play in different ways, have different special abilities, have different win conditions. So it keeps the game replayable because you can play as different characters and learn how they work. So if you're a fan of Star Wars, then check out Star Wars Villainous. Ravensburger is also releasing the Great British Baking Show game. So, boy, the Great British Baking Show, super popular. Do you want to wish that you can make desserts like these professional chefs? Because I do. Because I can't cook at all. I recently realized that flour could expire. Didn't know that was a thing. I had the same bag of flour in my cupboard for too many years. I don't know how many, but it was too many. So in this game, you are playing as chefs, and you are racing to complete sweet confections that earn a Paul Hollywood handshake. One of the cool things, though, about it is you can, they say to capture the sportsmanship demonstrated when bakers step in to assist others, players can use help cards to select wild cards from the center of the table, and you're just trying to complete recipes. So if you like that show, or if you like baking in general, this feels like a good game for you. Renegade Game Studios is releasing My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria. This is a cooperative deck building game. I know way more about My Little Pony than I think that I should, but my little sister was super into them when I was a kid, and so I played a lot more My Little Pony than you might think. And so I was excited for this one because I know a bunch about it. And so in the game, you're traveling amongst different locations throughout Ponyville. You're getting new cards to improve your deck, complete tasks for resources, and overcome obstacles. So if you like My Little Pony or you want a cooperative deck building game, I don't believe there are a ton of cooperative deck building games. We have like Aeon's End, but this is going to be a lot lighter than that. This is a 1 to 4 player game, plays in 45 to 90 minutes. So if you want a cooperative deck building game, check it out. Smirk and Dagger is releasing The Spill to retail. This is another cooperative game, and it's got a really amazing theme. So and it's also got really cool production value, table presence. So I'll go through both of them. There is like a huge oil rig in the middle of the board, and you are dropping dice down this oil rig. But one of the cool things about that is it's essentially a 4-way dice tray. The dice will bounce off in all different directions. And then you have to, and the dice represent oil that is coming out and spilling into the ocean. And then you have to rush around this board to try to save animals and clean up the ocean from the oil spill. And I love that games are tackling important themes like this. Yeah, it's fun to do the silly light games or the fantasy games, but like, if this can educate people a little bit while also being a really fun game, then I think that's a great thing, and I think that's one of the best things that board games can do is create fun but have real, meaningful depth to them as well. So The Spill, a cooperative game where you are working together to contain a devastating oil spill and save the sea life. The Op is releasing 2 games that are similar in mechanics but different in theme. One of those is Harry Potter Mischief in Diagon Alley, and the other is Disney's Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas Merry Madness. So both of these are fast-paced, simultaneous play dice games. They take about 15 minutes to play, they both play 3 to 5 players, and they both work for kids that are 6 and up. So, I think it depends on, the mechanics of these games are pretty similar with the fast-paced dice rolling, and then it just becomes which theme do you like? Do you like Harry Potter stuff, or do you like Nightmare Before Christmas stuff? So yeah, and it's a stressful, wacky game where you're simultaneously rolling dice. So in the Nightmare Before Christmas one, Jack's plan to deliver toys to Christmas Town went haywire after his Halloween town helpers started throwing gifts at each other instead. So you have to work to sort of figure out which presents go to where. And in the Harry Potter one, you are first-year Hogwarts students rushing to Diagon Alley with their shopping list, but the magical items have been hexed and are found mixed up among all the shoppers, so you're quickly rolling dice to fling the scattered brooms, books, and other supplies back to where they belong. Terrible Games released Token Terrors to retail. So one thing about this game, the little miniatures are adorable. Okay, it's called Token Terrors partly because they're these little token miniatures, and they're very cute and fun. And one of the things about this game, it's a 2-player only game, and it's sort of a 1 versus 1 game. You are moving around, kind of an abstract-y game. You are moving around and battling the other player to try to gain control and destroy their pieces. It sets up at minutes, it's quick to learn, and it's rated for ages 12 and up, has a duration of 20 to 40 minutes. And it comes in a pretty small box. So, if you want a smaller game that has some bigger strategy, this combat strategy with adorable little miniatures, check out Token Terrors. And then lastly, I have Keepers from Van Ryder Games. I feel like Van Ryder Games is known for sort of dark games, right? They have the Detective City of Angels. They have Final Girl. These are games about grisly murders, Hostage Negotiator. Well, Keepers is entirely different, okay? This is a gorgeous game that's all about the beautiful photo cards that are in the game. It plays 3 to 8 players in 15 to 30 minutes. One player will play as just every round, one player plays as the curator, and they choose a word to describe a card in their hand. And then every other player will play a card onto the board that they think either most matches that word or least matches that word, and then other players are going to vote which ones they think is most and least like the word that the curator said, and then the players who get votes, their cards become keepers and they get points. All the artwork in Keepers has been hand-selected from Byron Georgior's portfolio of over 600,000 images of the natural world. So again, it's really, really gorgeous. If you want a game where you get to look at beautiful nature artwork and photos, then this is a really good one to play. It plays 3 to 8 players, so it's also, it's a little bit of a party game, but a clever party game. I think it makes it more clever based on the fact that you can do most or least like the word that was said. That's what sort of sets it apart a little bit. So those are 25 games that are coming to retail this month. I do want to mention just briefly a couple of other ones that I'm not going to go into depth on. Asmodee released both Ozark, Squid Game, and Stranger Things games direct to exclusive Walmart. So if you like any of those IPs, you can find those games in Walmart. Keymaster Games also released Parks Wildlife. I don't focus on expansions in this video series, but I love Parks, and this is a new expansion to the game's Parks called Wildlife. So one of the best games about, you know, traveling the national parks. It's got gorgeous artwork, and this provides more stuff. So that's what I have for you here. All right, thanks so much everybody for joining me. I do these, you know, sort of around the 8th, 9th, 10th of the month so that I really know what's going to come out that month. You know, it's not right the 1st of every month because then things change. But, you know, I try to do it early in the month so you know what to expect in the next few weeks. Some of these games have already come out in the first, you know, week of August, and some of them are coming out later in August. So thanks so much for joining me for the video. I would totally appreciate any likes and subscribes. I don't say that on my videos very often, but this video takes a lot of work. This is a lot of messaging people and researching the games and all that sort of stuff, but I'm happy to bring you the information. I hope that you find some good games in this and that you love playing them. I hope that you love games in general. Thanks so much. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.